Hi guys, it's John Callum from KHL Motorsport. This video is the latest developments on our Project Hyundai Coupe 4-wheel drive series. Let's get to it right now. First you will see is the 4G63T engine. This engine came from a Lancer Evolution 4. What that means is this engine is pretty old. This is probably 23 plus years old. I won't bore you with the specifics on 4G63s. You could research that all over the internet and all over YouTube. One, it is already having a 4-wheel drive transmission. Number two, the transmission is mounted on the same side as the original Hyundai Beta engine. So that makes engine supports slightly easier for us to finagle and figure out. But not very, as you would see later. The third thing is that the Evo 4, 5, and 6 transfer case propeller shaft output is in a low position. If we were to get the later generation engine, the 789, the transfer case output is on a high position, so we'll have to really cut a lot more of the flooring that we've already done so we don't want to make a completely new tunnel for the propeller shaft, so this low output would be perfect for our purposes. And yes, it is a 280 horsepower turbocharged engine out of the box. We've been figuring it out for the past several weeks to mount it, and we've been busy with other projects at the shop, but what we've done so far, the driver's side engine mount or transmission mount, is we basically are modifying both the Evo 4 motor mount and the Hyundai Beta motor mount, and making a happy compromise between the two, and I think we've got that relatively sorted as of the making of this video. We are able to bolt on the engine support of the Hyundai Beta to the 4G63, but we had to remove one stud in the middle. However, the engine itself is so wide. It is so wide, we had to cut on both sides of the frame rails. On the driver's side, just a little bit underneath, just to clear the transmission, but to align the propeller shaft properly down the middle of the tunnel, the tunnel on the floor pan, we had to push the engine a sizable amount towards the passenger side frame rail. That necessitates a lot of cutting on the side to clear the accessories that came with the Evo 4 engine, like most notably the compressor and the alternator, and also the tensioner. Yeah, and we still have to fabricate the cross member to mount the cross member properly. Oh yeah, one thing that we had to also cut a lot was the subframe. The subframe holds the lower arms of the suspension. It also holds the power steering rack and pinion. But in order to clear the transfer case output shaft, we had to cut a hell of a lot from the subframe. And we did not touch where the rack and pinion is supposed to be mounted. So I think we could get away by strengthening that section and putting a lower brace on the bottom in order to maintain the rigidity, but the steering, the rack and pinion mounts have to be really solid, and we'll be figuring out a solution to that. With the engine, we got a whole bunch of additional parts. We did not get the half cut, so we don't have the original intercooler for the car, but we got the front suspension basically. We got the shocks, the brakes, the lower arm, control arm, and the subframe of the Evo 4. However, that subframe does not work. We felt that the easiest thing to do was just to modify the stock subframe for clearance. We needed to mount the Evo 4 brakes, but that was actually optional because the interesting thing is the spline count on the axles of the Evo 4 and the Hyundai. It's the exact same spline count, exact same diameter. So technically speaking, we could have mounted the Evo 4 engine to the stock brakes of the Tiburon or the Coupe. But we'll ignore that for now. But we wanted to go 5 studs, so we went with the Evo 4 brakes, which is an upgrade over the stock Coupe brakes. It's a twin piston sliding caliper with 276mm rotors. It's bigger than the Coupe brakes, so that's fantastic. I think it's gonna still be under braked, especially with the drum brakes at the rear. In order to mount the whole knuckle, we had to use the lower control arm and the shock absorber from the Evo 4 as well. So mounting the shock was not a problem. We just reused the Coupe top mounts and they bolt on fine. The lower control arms, there was just a bit of modification that we had to do on the big end bushing section of the lower control arm, and it bolts on the subframe. So that was something that was fantastic to figure out. So we're practically running an Evo 4 front suspension setup and a Subaru Legacy rear suspension setup with Coupe shocks at the back. Well, so far that's where we are at with the project, and we're trying to get it running as fast as possible. But due to the load of our clients at the shop, hopefully we would get back to the Coupe shortly. But in the meantime, I hope that this was an interesting update for you, and I hope to have you watching the future installments of the series and the other videos of our channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please like us on Facebook. We are Kuhol Garage on Facebook, and on Instagram we are KHL Motorsport. So again, guys, my name is John Calam. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. God bless, take care, and keep safe, and wear a mask. That's all for now. See you guys.